Hogan seems confused, but obviously it's not him, it's the crowd. So he continues. Then he stops. He's, oh, I'm sorry, it's the Superdome, brothers. I was just thinking about body slamming Andre, so I got confused. We're in the Superdome, without a doubt. Stephanie was great. She was doing yes chants and screaming in Brian's face. He's not good enough and he's a B+. The yes chants, though, were brutal. Yes! Yes! Yes!
It was clear what they were trying to do for this Battle Royal, but, it's like, you're wasting a Royal Rumble spot on this damn Battle Royal.
You hear Heyman say, he's poised! He's poised! No! And the crowd chants thank you, Taker, except for one guy who chanted you suck and booed him. You just hear, you suck!
Yeah, there's always got to be one.
So yeah, Duggan's the winner, Slaughter's pissed. Ricky Steamboat comes in like, he says he'll play toys with Duggan. And I guess the $1 Million Man purchased the toys and only he gets to play with them now. And then Farouk appeared out of nowhere just to say, damn. Legends. WrestleMania 30 happened. Started with a little video. Some jazz guy talks about how awesome WrestleMania is. Not sure what an old jazz man has to do with WrestleMania, but the music was good. So they showed the featured matches, which is Lesnar versus Taker, Cena versus Wyatt, Batista, Orton, and Bryan, and Triple H. We're all intertwined for the WWE title. Then a shitty song plays. It turned out it was Kid Rock's Celebrate. What an awful abortion of a song that was.
I don't know if I heard it.
We're in New Orleans, Louisiana. Hulk Hogan comes out to host in a much better celebration than he got on Monday.
A proper reaction?
Yes. So Hogan walks the ring singing his own theme song, which I thought was funny. He's in a lot better shape than he will be come WrestleMania 40. The last time we saw Hogan is when he was inducting Mean Gene into the Hall of Fame. The last time I actually remember seeing him was when he beat the shit out of Muhammad Hassan and then left without seeing if Eugene was okay.
Oh, yeah. Didn't even look his direction, yeah.
And then Hogan infamously welcomes us to the Silverdome. Of course, the Silverdome is the historic former home of the Detroit Lions, located in Pontiac, Michigan, some 1,000+ miles north of where Hogan and the crowd he is addressing are currently standing. Hogan says he was at the very first WrestleMania at Madison Square Garden, running wild with Mr. T against the Rowdy One and Mr. Wonderful. He calls the goddamn stadium the Silverdome again. This time he got booed, and the crowd starts chanting Superdome. Hogan seems confused, but obviously it's not him, it's the crowd. So he continues. Then he stops. He's, oh, I'm sorry, it's the Superdome, brothers. I was just thinking about body slamming Andre during my promo, so I got confused. We're in the Superdome, without a doubt. So Hogan says now that he stands corrected by all his Hulkamaniacs, hopefully there will be better moments than the one he just created. Then the glass shatters. Out comes the rattlesnake. And the two greatest wrestlers of our time stand in the ring for the very first time ever. Austin says it's good to be back at the Silverdome. We all had a good chuckle. Austin says normally whenever he comes inside the squared circle at WrestleMania 30, like, all the other WrestleMania 30s he's been to, he opens up a can of whoop ass. It whoops the living hell out of whoever's standing in the ring with him. Austin gets in Hogan's face, asks the crowd if they want him to open up a can of whoop ass on Hogan. Crowd enthusiastically shouts hell yeah. Austin says, that's what I thought you'd say. Then Austin talks about sitting next to Hulk Hogan the previous evening at the Hall of Fame, seeing all the stuff he did at WrestleMania 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know if he was at 10.
Pausing for what in between each one of those?
Of course. Austin tells Hogan that for a long time they've protected their legacies, but the dues Hogan paid and what he did for the business, he's got nothing but Austin's respect. They shake hands. Austin says that's enough of us. Time for the current regime to put on a hell of a show. But always remember, Austin 3:16 says, I just whooped your ass. Then the fucking Rock interrupts, does his full entrance, stops and hugs Hogan and Austin, making his entrance fucking longer. Like he stopped to hug him before he did his little corner pose thing. Then he does his catchphrase and he just says, welcome to the Superdome. Like he didn't play along at all, like Austin did.
He got it in there eventually.
So a goddamn Superdome chant starts. The Rock says when he looks across the ring, he doesn't just see two of the biggest legends of all time. Rock sees his good buddy Stone Cold and his childhood hero, Hulk Hogan. And without a doubt, the two biggest names in all of wrestling. Says he's faced both of them at WrestleMania. They've impacted his career and the careers of everyone in the locker room. Tonight, a man's going to come out here fighting in the name of hustle, loyalty, and respect. But it doesn't do that if someone 29 years ago didn't fight to say their prayers, eat their vitamins, and drink their milk, brother. Which that got a lot of boos because he was talking about Cena.
Yeah.
Tonight, a man is going to come out and rise against the authority, but that doesn't happen unless a certain bald-headed SOB not only crossed the boss, but whipped his candy ass. Then The Rock suggested WWE fans' parents fucked after seeing The Rock at WrestleMania and went home and made Rock babies. Said some more dumb shit. They drank beer. I skipped to the end when Rock started doing the rhyming shit. The first 23 minutes, segment dragged. I have no idea why The Rock came out.
Because we're talking about all the greats, the three most pivotal people in wrestling. Three most pivotal people. Now, if only John Cena would have came out for some reason, I think they should have put him out there.
They should have put him out there instead of The Rock.
No, with The Rock. Rock, John Cena, Stone Cold, and Hulk Hogan all in the same ring.
Rock does not need to be in every fucking thing. First of all, The Rock and Stone Cold aren't even in the same stratosphere when it comes to wrestling. They're complete opposites when it comes to the acting.
Well, yeah.
Stone Cold saved the WWE. His feud with McMahon, Rock didn't do that.
If it weren't for that, WCW would have been crushing WWE.
It wasn't the Nation of Domination. It wasn't fucking the empty arena match. It wasn't no People's Elbow. It was fucking Stone Cold. And before that, it was the Rock and Wrestling Connection with fucking Hulk Hogan.
Well, Hulk Hogan was at the other company at this point.
Yeah, but before Stone Cold, it was Hogan. Hogan and Austin had business being in the ring together. Rock did not.
I know you just want to get some more Rock shitting on in there, so just get it out of your system. Go ahead.
But he's got a tiny dick from all them steroids.
There you go.
Anyway, that was really long. It's too long.
And he got the most mic time, too.
Yeah, I don't get it.
He is better on the mic than both of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I like listening to Austin talk about whipping ass and drinking beer. I guess that's a taste thing, though. I mean, I would rather hear Rock than the brothers and the dudes. So we get a Daniel Bryan Triple H video package. Daniel Bryan is shown being the ultimate overachiever, finding success in NXT, beat The Miz for the U.S. title, even won Superstar of the Year. And I guess at some point, Bryan earned a title shot, says he wants to be champion to prove that there's no one better in the ring than him. During Bryan's title match with Orton, Triple H, who seems to be the special guest referee, hits him with a pedigree, fucking Bryan out of the title. Triple H said he did what he did to ensure the WWE puts out the best product. And Daniel Bryan is not the man they want. He is not the face of the WWE. Some guys get to the top, some guys don't. Stephanie McMahon, in the cuntiest way possible, tells Bryan, to his face, that not everybody can be WWE Championship material. You're what, 5'8", 200 pounds? You are a B+. Triple H says he protected Daniel Bryan for all of the fans. He's just not good enough to succeed. Bryan says the fans are with him. They show a bunch of goobers charging the ring and do a yes chant with Bryan. Triple H has to be held back like he was going to go to the ring and personally kick all of their asses. I don't know what his end game was with that.
I don't know, but that was the classic Raw takeover.
Yeah.
I think that's what they called it.
So Bryan challenges Triple H at WrestleMania. They show Triple H beating the shit out of a handcuffed Daniel Bryan. Stephanie got in a shot or two as well. And Bryan tells Triple H he hits like a girl and he doesn't have the power. We have the power, man. So Triple H says there's no yes movement. It brings us to Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. And Stephanie does the announcing for Triple H, probably because she's the only one that can remember all the nicknames Triple H had. Jesus Christ. It was King of Kings, Master of Crafts. Triple H comes out to orchestra music on a throne. Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Alexa Bliss are flanking him as his wenches. Then Triple H has to do his normal entrance, while Stephanie applauds in the ring like an idiot. Daniel Bryan comes out, heavily bandaged. I guess Triple H really whooped his ass, because he's still hurt.
Yeah, they really played up that injury.
Yes, they did. And for the record, this was the Daniel Bryan show, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
So Triple H smugly goes in for a handshake. Bryan kicks Triple H's hand away and tried to win with a schoolboy. Triple H is furious, tries to kick the shit out of Bryan. Bryan ends up kicking his ass instead. Triple H focuses on Bryan's injured shoulder. Bryan simply out-wrestles Triple H. He actually made him look like an idiot who's like out of his league.
Triple H or Bryan?
Bryan made Triple H look like a goober.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
So Bryan hits Tornado DDT to Triple H on the floor from the apron. Then he hits Triple H with a front flip from the top rope. Triple H tried a pedigree through the announce desk. Bryan fought out. Triple H ended up slamming Bryan's injured arm on the desk, which looked brutal. Stephanie was great. She was doing yes chants and screaming in Bryan's face when he was by the floor that he's not good enough and he's a B+. The yes chants, though, were brutal. Yes! 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 So Daniel Bryan goes for a suicide dive. Triple H just slugged him with a right hook. And then he hits Bryan with a belly-to-back suplex on the apron. And he did the deal where he held Bryan's arm behind his back. You know, when they put him behind the back and they do the slam. So they don't put fucking psychology in their matches. So Triple H locks in a crossface chicken wing, turns it into a crippler crossface. Bryan goes for 3 rolling German suplexes. Triple H fought out of the third one, goes for a chicken wing again. Bryan blocked it, so Triple H hit him with the tiger suplex. And Bryan hits Triple H with a sunset flip powerbomb from the top rope. Triple H goes for a pedigree. Bryan escapes, takes Triple H off his feet, kicks him in the head. And Bryan goes for a diving headbutt. Triple H got a knee up, goes back to the crippler crossface. So Bryan crawls to the ropes. Triple H rolls them back to the middle of the ring. So they tease Bryan passing out, but then he reverses the crossface, causing Triple H to break the hold. Bryan catches him with the labella lock, but Triple H managed to get to the ropes. So Bryan hits Triple H with 2 suicide dives, tossing him back in the ring, hits a missile dropkick, goes for the yes kicks, goes for the running knee. Triple H counters with a spine buster, then hits a pedigree. But of course, Bryan kicked out. Goes
Clean
for
too.
Sure did. Triple H goes for another pedigree. Bryan just blocks it. I guess he played dead. Triple H goes for a pedigree again. Bryan escapes, kicks Triple H in the head. He goes for another kick to the head. Triple H ducks, tries a belly to back suplex. Bryan escapes that and then hits the running knee 1, 2, 3. And after the match, Bryan does his yeses with the crowd. Stephanie gets in the ring, just slaps the piss out of Bryan. Bryan kind of laughed. And then Triple H beats the fuck out of him. He cracks Bryan's injured arm with a chair against the ring post, and then Stephanie tells Bryan that's what happens when you play with the game. And Triple H says no happy endings.
Yep. Even further playing up that he's never going to win the title. I was actually surprised that the match went as long as it did.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the whole time I'm thinking, okay, whoever's wrestling is wrestling again. Oh, it's just going to be Bryan, but they're going to have to wrestle again. Mm-hmm. Like, are they going to overexpose him? But I don't know. This match went, I would say, it was a good like 20 minutes.
25 minutes and 58 seconds.
There you go. So yeah, it was just to my surprise, but I did enjoy the match. It was just,
I don't know. I didn't like how Daniel Bryan can just go to toe with Triple H. Like Triple H is bigger, stronger. He's got more experience. Daniel Bryan's, he just looks like a regular guy. I would think that he would be more of the baby face coming from behind type thing versus just a guy that's going toe to toe with somebody he shouldn't be going toe to toe with.
I don't know. I think the whole point was that he's the best wrestler. He can
I guess, but it wasn't just the wrestling though. Like the drop kicks in the corner and shit. I don't know. Anytime Triple H would get something going, Bryan would just like fight back. It didn't seem like it was that big of a challenge to beat Triple H for Bryan. You just beat him.
Fair enough.
So we have New Age Outlaws and Kane versus The Shield. So Road Dogg came out saying they represent the authority and that the Hounds of Justice are going to learn a lesson in humility. Shield interrupt all that. Ambrose is the fucking U.S. champion. Kane came out last, looking like he just got off work.
Wasn't it a little bit weird that the New Age Outlaws came out, then the Shield came out, and then Kane comes out, who's the tag team partner of the people who came out first?
Very weird and disjointed. And Kane, man, I don't know what they did with him. He has hair now, and he was wearing dad pants.
Oh,
I know who it is. Yeah,
corporate Kane,
the most insufferable iteration of Kane.
I don't know, probably. I just thought he was pretty much the politician that he was going to soon become after that.
That's fair. So Ambrose does some shit. I hate that top rope spring back thing that he does. Or acts like he's going to flip out of the ring and then he springs back.
Oh, yeah.
Roman hits both New Age Outlaws with a drive-by at the same time. Road Dogg gets Superman punched. Roman goes to Superman punch Billy Gunn, but Kane cuts him off with a choke slam attempt. Rollins hit Kane with a flying knee from the top rope. Then Roman hits everyone with a spear. Shield hit a triple power bomb to Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. And then Rollins covers Billy Gunn, 1, 2, 3. And then Shield pose.
Yep. It was almost a squash match, if you could call it
I would say, yeah, it was definitely a squash match.
So, yeah. I was like, why even have it on the
card? WrestleMania.
I know why, but...
And these are legends.
But they did have their fair share of fluff.
Speaking of which, Sergeant Slaughter and Duggan are backstage. They're playing with toys.
Oops.
Dangerous Danny Davis is officiating and declares Duggan the winner. Do you remember Dangerous Danny Davis? He was the crooked referee that was forced to do the Battle Royal in one of the earlier WrestleManias.
Oh, yeah, I remember now.
So yeah, he was doing a guest spot there. So yeah, Duggan's the winner. Slaughter's pissed. Ricky Steamboat comes in like Bruce Lee. He goes, and he says he'll play toys with Duggan. And then some dweeb comes out of nowhere and takes the toys away. $1 Million Man appears just to say everyone has a price. And I guess the $1 Million Man purchased the toys and only he gets to play with them now. And then Farouk appeared out of nowhere just to say, damn. Legends.
You know, you can say what you want about Triple H. At least he's treating the legends a lot better.
That's true. I was going to say, I guess Road Dogg and Billy Gunn and Kane got a better treatment than these legends.
Well, you know, every WrestleMania is like, do something to degrade the legends even more. Ricky Steamboat.
My God, what happened to him?
Yeah, he's gotten it the worst.
Ricky, come here. Stephanie's got a piss in your mouth this year. Okay.
Yeah, because remember, a couple WrestleManias ago, he was wearing a dragon suit.
He had that match with Jericho. Where's the star?
No, this was after.
Okay.
That. I don't know. He's always made his.
Well, there was the WrestleMania where everybody was dancing.
Yeah, that. And he was dancing in his karate suit.
31-man Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. This is the inaugural one. It wasn't at last year's WrestleMania, was it? So,
no.
Fortunately, that's not a thing anymore. Big Show and Sheamus get entrances. Fuck everybody else. 3-man band was touring through China with a walk band, according to the King. I thought that was funny. Touring through China with a walk band. So Fandango eliminated Big E. Crowd cheered and started dancing. Fandango started dancing, got carried away. Sheamus eliminated him. Big Show eliminated R-Truth and danced after. Cody and Goldust were in the ring together. So the Rhodes brothers together at WrestleMania for the first time, I think.
I believe so. They didn't really acknowledge it, though.
But I did. Just now. Rey Mysterio did a springboard thing, and Cesaro European uppercutted his tiny ass right out of the ring. It was great. Kofi did a spot where Cesaro tossed him out of the ring over the corner, and he landed sort of feet first on the steel steps. And of course, he fell to the floor, but his feet never left the steel steps, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it was clear what they were trying to do for this Battle Royal. But, you know, it's like, you're wasting a Royal Rumble spot on this damn Battle Royal.
Like, what if you got hurt?
Yeah, and he can't use it at the Royal Rumble now because, well, I guess he could.
So. Yeah, no one's going to remember this. So Kofi hits everybody with a Trouble in Paradise, and then everyone sat and watched Cesaro give him a big swing. And Giant hit Cesaro with a choke slam. Sheamus hit Big Show with a brogue kick, then eliminated Kofi with a brogue kick. Ziggler did some flashy shit. Del Rio simply kicked him while he was skinning the cat for an elimination. Del Rio, Sheamus, Big Show, and Cesaro are the final four. I can't believe that I actually watched this whole fucking thing. Del Rio goes for an armbar in the middle of the Battle Royal. Sheamus powers out of it and ends up eliminating himself and Del Rio at the same time. So it's down to Big Show and Cesaro. Big Show goes for a choke slam. Cesaro escapes and tries to do a top rope move. Big Show just swatted him down. And Big Show picks Cesaro up, goes for the elimination. Cesaro escapes, body slams Big Show out of the ring. Just like Andre. Big Show shakes Cesaro's hand after the match. Cesaro celebrates with his trophy, then goes on to win. I forget. He was what? How many time WWE champion? This elevated him.
I know,
a trophy.
Right? JBL. This moment's going to be played forever. Yeah. It was basically a nothing Battle Royal.
And since we have the benefit of hindsight, we know exactly how meaningless it was.
Yes.
Bray Wyatt, John Cena video package. Bray Wyatt is trying to destroy John Cena's legacy, and this was basically just a vehicle to play an Eminem music video with Cena and Wyatt sound bites cutting in. Like, I think they played the whole song.
I don't know. It wasn't one of my favorite songs. I was thinking, I don't even remember hearing that album. I don't think I listened to it.
Which one is it?
It was the Marshall Mathers 2, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that one was kind of disappointing. Anyway, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena. Some homeless voodoo ladies dancing around flaming trash cans holding machetes. And then Bray Wyatt says, "We're here on the Titantron." And Wyatt's theme is played live. I appreciate how Wyatt didn't do the thing where he stopped and pointed at the band. In fact, he didn't acknowledge him at all. It's like he was taking what he was doing seriously. It was great. I also like how the band abruptly stopped playing when Wyatt blew out the lantern. Nice little detail. Although if he walked any slower to the ring, he'd be moving backwards.
That's fair.
And I just want to say Luke Harper was really fucking good.
Definitely staying in
Yeah, he was great. It starts off with Wyatt getting on his knees in the middle of the ring, screams at Cena. They can end it right now by showing them the monster he really is. Finish me, he bellows. Cena refuses, of course, then proceeds to beat Wyatt's ass anyway. Wyatt beats up Cena so bad, Cena ends up snapping. Wyatt laughed about it. Rowan and Harper try to get involved. Wyatt calls them off. Cena lets the Cena sucks chance wash over him and takes his anger out on Wyatt. And he takes out Wyatt with a big boot, stares daggers at Rowan and Harper. Harper croaks out, "Let it out." Cena kicks Wyatt's ass some more. Wyatt calls Cena a monster, then kicks him in the balls. And Wyatt gets Cena in the sleeper hold. Commentary's shocked Wyatt would use such a hold. They speculate that Wyatt is just trying to push Cena's buttons rather than win the match. Such a sick strategy, that sleeper hold. So Cena fights out of the sleeper hold, does the 4 moves of doom, goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle, but he runs the wrong way for his own fucking move so they can jump cut to Wyatt in the spider pose. Cena shits himself. Wyatt hits a standing rock bottom. Then Cena hits a tornado DDT from the top rope, goes for the top rope leg drop. Wyatt counters with a powerbomb. Cena hits a belly to back suplex, then a 5-knuckle shuffle. This time he didn't run the ropes at all. How do you fuck up your own signature move?
I thought he was just, doing it so it didn't get countered.
Okay. That makes sense. I'll buy that. The first one, there's no excuse. So Cena goes for the FU. Wyatt escapes, hits a spinning gut buster. Then he hits a apron DDT. Crowd starts singing. He's got the whole world in his hands. Cena fights out of a superplex attempt from Wyatt and then takes out Harper and Rowan with a crossbody from the top rope for no reason. Wyatt attacks Cena on the floor, tries to ram him with the steel steps. Cena ends up blocking Wyatt's attack and beating him down. Then Cena grabs the steps himself, raises him over his head to deliver the final blow, but he just can't do it. So then Wyatt cradles Cena's head in his lap in the middle of the ring and starts singing he's got the whole world in his hands while brushing his hair. Then he goes for a senton and, of course, misses because he took all that fucking time to sing. Then Cena hits an FU. Wyatt kicks out. Rowan then distracts the ref. Harper hits Cena with a jumping super kick from the floor. Cole called it a drive-by because he's a drone. Wyatt hits a standing senton, throws a fit when Cena kicks out. And maybe if he wasn't fucking singing in the middle of his matches, he'd have won by now. And then Wyatt tosses Cena out of the ring so Cena can spear Harper through a barricade. Then Wyatt goes for Sister Abigail. Cena counters with an STFU. Then Wyatt hit the Sister Abigail. Cena kicked out, of course. Of course, Wyatt did NXT face through another fit. So he goes to get a chair. Rowan gets in the ring. Wyatt drops the chair and slides it to Cena. Then gets on his goddamn knees again, screaming, "Finish me." Cena teases hitting Wyatt with the chair, but hits Rowan instead on the apron. So I guess that's okay. The whole thing was so Cena wouldn't turn into the monster, right? He didn't want to stoop to Wyatt's level by striking him with the chair, but he struck Rowan with the chair. So how is that any different? You struck somebody with the chair.
I don't know. It isn't different, really.
Wyatt goes for another Sister Abigail. Cena counters into the FU 1, 2, 3. And after the match, Cena hugged a bunch of people on the front row. And yeah, pretty amazing what Wyatt can do without the stupid masks or spooky lighting or holograms or teleporting untalented female wrestlers or scary children. He was also super fucking over and he should have won.
He definitely should have won.
In fact, he should have been in a different match. We'll get to that.
They did mention it, he's not really trying to win. They threw that excuse out there. Well, he doesn't want to win the match. He just wants to turn John Cena, bring out his dark side. That's the whole reason for this.
Well, you had the whole crowd just started singing for no reason, his little song.
Yeah.
It's a nice little visual. And that's another missed opportunity that they had because they had one of the best and they fucked him. Or he fucked himself.
Yeah, this was one of the moments where he thought, like, okay, I get the push-pull treatment here. You can say he was the first shut-up person.
That's
he
true.
was the very first shut-up because, he would talk a big game and then,
talk a great game.
Lose.
Every time.
Yeah, and that's what happened here.
Well, we have the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. The inductees were Jake the Snake Roberts. DDP inducted him. Lita, for some reason. Trish, another undeserving inductee, inducted Lita. Paul Bearer. Kane did the induction. And the Bearer's family looking inbred and effeminate, accepted the award for him. Taker came out holding an urn. Mr. T, and fuck whoever did his induction speech, they didn't reveal it. Mr. T also had a bandana on for some reason when they brought him out. We had Carlos Colon. He was inducted by Carlito, Epico, and Primo. We had Scott Hall, who was inducted by Nash. And Hall had the great quote, "Hard work pays off, dreams come true, good times don't last, but bad guys do." And then the whole clique celebrated. And the Ultimate Warrior was inducted by Linda McMahon, which I thought was interesting.
And we're back to like an actual all-star class.
I thought the last one was.
Which one was the one with like $1 Million Man was the headline?
26 maybe?
Oh, it was a while ago. Fair enough. But yeah, this is a good class. And just because I wasn't familiar with Mr. Cologne, what was his name?
Colon.
Carlos Colon?
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with him. Everybody else I was good with.
Yeah, he's been around, but I can't remember where he's from. So we have a Lesnar Undertaker video package. For over 2 decades, Undertaker's streak has been the lone constant at WrestleMania, a standard that is unequaled. 21 have stepped up, all have fallen. Each have fallen to the seduction of being the one to end it all. Legends, giants, champions, icons have all crashed upon the rocks of the irresistible temptation of the streak, with the mangled bodies piled up with each passing year. Is there no man that can defeat this collector of souls? Well, according to Heyman, the answer is obviously no. But what about a ruthless, heartless barbarian, mastering in cruelty and fueled by rage? A beast incarnate whose natural instinct is to inflict pain. The affirmation this beast seeks is your contempt, your disgust, your disdain, who lives by the mantra, eat, sleep, conquer, repeat. No one will ever forget what he is about to do. 21 and 1. And then the smallest number becomes the biggest. He is the one. Brock Lesnar. All good things do indeed come to an end. It's kind of pathetic that this will be the last rites of a storied career. And then Heyman concludes with eat, sleep, conquer the streak.
And I didn't know if I was ready for it. I mean, almost to the point where I was contemplating skipping the match.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was like, I don't know if I can see this. This was actually my first time seeing it, so I was like, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I was like, hey, I don't know. If I just skip it, it'll never happen.
Have you watched his WrestleMania matches after this?
I think I watched the one with Roman Reigns.
Yeah, he lost to Roman, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think I was all the way back into wrestling at this point.
Hmm.
Well, I would watch the weekly shows, but I wouldn't watch the pay-per-views because they're pay-per-views. Pay-per-view.
I just know the one he had with Wyatt was really bad.
Well, I know he beat Wyatt, but
Yeah.
I didn't actually watch it.
I know he lost to Roman. I think he wrestled Cena too. I don't know. I just think
I think it did. Yeah.
as soon as the streak ended, it's just like he just became another guy. Really, the streak was the only thing holding the mystique up. But after that happened, there wasn't really anything to look forward to with him, and his matches just deteriorated.
Which is why I always said he should have never lost.
Yep. So yeah, Lesnar comes out with Heyman. Druids chant for Taker. Then they show coffins with the names of people Taker's beaten at WrestleMania. Taker comes out and a coffin with the number 22 opens. And then Taker sets it on fire with his mind. For some reason, they used thunder as the sound effect for Taker's mind juju. And it starts off with Taker being the best striker in WWE history. Then Lesnar hits a belly-to-belly suplex and dumps Taker out of the ring. Taker lands on his feet like an OG. Lesnar does Sheamus' stupid apron move to Taker. Hope Sheamus approached Lesnar about it. Like, oi, fella, that's my bloody move. Taker hit an apron leg drop. Then he hits Snake Eyes, goes for a choke slam. Lesnar escapes, goes for an F5. Taker escapes, goes for a big boot in the corner. And Lesnar sidestepped and slammed Taker's leg into the ring post. Lesnar starts working on Taker's leg. He just starts raining down fists on a helpless Undertaker. Taker hits a DDT out of nowhere. Then he hits the Snake Eyes, big boot, and an atomic leg drop. Gears up for a choke slam. You hear Heyman say, "He's poised! He's poised! No!" And Taker hits the choke slam. Taker goes for a tombstone. Lesnar escapes, hits the F5. He stands over Undertaker for a really long time. Taker grabs him, locks in the Hell's Gate. Lesnar lifts Taker up, slams him into the mat to break the hold. Lesnar drags Taker to the middle of the ring so Taker can lock in another Hell's Gate. Lesnar slams him to the mat again. So they crawl to each other. Lesnar gets Taker in the Kimura. Taker reverses it into a Kimura lock of his own. Lesnar managed to get to the ropes. So Taker goes for old school. Lesnar just snatches him and hits another F5. It's kind of funny because I was thinking, oh man, if I was Lesnar, I would just snatch him and F5 him. And sure enough, he did.
He sure did.
Lesnar hits 2 suplexes, takes a breather, tries the 10 punches in the corner, which of course Taker turned into a last ride. He waits for Lesnar to get to his feet, hits the tombstone. Taker sits up, does the throat slash, goes for another tombstone. Lesnar reverses it in what looks like a tombstone at first, but he hoists Taker up on his shoulders, hits an F5 for a third time. 1, 2, 3. Heyman loses his shit. Crowd boos heavily. They cut to people in the crowd in disbelief. I think they chant bullshit. Lesnar
There's a little bullshit in there.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it too.
Lesnar winks at the fallen Taker at the entrance ramp. Taker sits up, and the crowd chants "Thank you, Taker," except for one guy who chanted "You suck" and booed him. You just hear "You suck."
Yeah, there's always got to be one. Like, read the room, buddy.
A commentary gives Taker a standing ovation, and after a really, really long time standing in the ring and brooding, Taker leaves with his head held high. And so ends possibly the worst booking decision of Vince's career.
Yes. And it was funny too, because when the 3 counts happens, it was quiet. I don't know. It felt like a little bit anticlimactic. Maybe it's because no one expected that was going to be the moment. Like, you don't even hear the crowd counting the 1, 2, 3. It's like 1, 2, 3, and then everybody's just shocked.
Yeah.
And you're looking at everybody in the crowd, and they're like, "What the hell?
What the fuck just happened?" And you see,
Yes.
you see the thumbs down. You start to hear the boos. Then you hear the bullshits.
Yeah,
because it was a bullshit decision.
I thought people were just going to start leaving, like literally leaving. But you know, they still had Daniel Bryan to help with the night. But I thought people were going to get up and walk out.
That would have been great.
I would have contemplated it. Like, I'm done. I'm sorry. And then immediate thought for me was like, gee, whoever has to follow this, good luck.
Well, that was the girls' match, which was a total clusterfuck. And I already saw the men have a better clusterfuck, so I didn't watch one bit of this. But AJ Lee, who's massively overrated, made Naomi tap with a Black Widow.
Oh my, it's probably unnecessary. But yes, this women's match was actually perfect placement because, like I said, whatever was following Brock Lesnar ending the streak, it was emotionally draining for that to happen. So whatever was following that was not going to get any reaction. So it was perfect to put a Vicky invitational battle royal out there for for that moment.
Yeah, it was quick too.
It was quick. They had their little rapid eliminations. I didn't pay attention to it. It was like, that's all I thought about. It was like, thank you for putting on this match right now to give me time to come back into the world.
Well, up next we have Mean Gene backstage. Mean Gene unfortunately sounds old and tired at this point. Thankfully, he doesn't mention any sort of hotline. Then he introduces Hogan, who makes sure to say we're in the Superdome. Roddy Piper and Orndorff interrupt. Hogan says, "What are you two doing here?" Piper says, "Relax. I came to pay you a compliment. You're doing a terrific job hosting." He says he knows talking isn't Hogan's strong suit, but he's doing okay. Says he heard Hogan yapping about Mr. T, about beating them at WrestleMania. "Well, you didn't beat me. You beat Orndorff." Orndorff tells Hogan for the last 30 years, all he hears every day of the week, at least one person reminding him that he lost at the first WrestleMania. "How do you think that makes me feel? I feel terrible about it." Piper takes off his jacket, ready to rumble. Orndorff says, "But you know, if I had a decent partner that would have watched my back, maybe I would have won." And Piper says, "I'll watch your back." And Mr. T interrupts with that stupid fucking bandana. He says, "I pity the fool. Starts trouble with my man Hulk." He loved the line so much he said it twice. And Pat Patterson interrupted for some reason to tell them it was 30 years ago. Relax. Hogan says, "Let's bury the hatchet." Piper makes Orndorff shake Hogan's hand. Then everyone shakes hands. And I was kind of hoping with the mustache that Orndorff was rocking that he would refuse to shake Mr. T's hand. Like, I wouldn't sully my hands while mopping his forehead with a handkerchief or something.
Yeah, it did seem very Civil War-ish with that mustache.
That's what you need Colonel Robert Parker. He would have done it right.
Yeah.
So Piper and Mr. T hugged. Piper overacted. Mr. T underacted.
And another WrestleMania moment.
Yes.
JBL didn't forget to remind us.
They announced Hall of Famers at ringside. It was Bruno Sammartino, Harley Race, Mr. Bob Backlund, Dusty Rhodes, and Bret the Hitman Hart. I don't believe they announced the attendance.
They didn't.
So it must not have been good.
They would have lied about it anyway, so.
That's true. We have Randy Orton versus Batista versus Daniel Bryan. It's for the WWE World Heavyweight title or whatever. Orton gets his theme played live as well. He comes out with 2 titles. It's the WWE title and the World Heavyweight titles. So they're unified, but they're still 2 titles. I don't know how that works. And Batista comes out older, but still looking like $1 million. And Daniel Bryan comes out, pieced together with duct tape and super glue. And all 3 are standing in the ring. And Daniel Bryan is definitely the odd man out. So it starts off with Bryan catching Orton with a drop kick. Batista goes for a Batista bomb. Bryan counters that into a Frankensteiner, sending Batista out of the ring. Orton starts targeting Bryan's shoulder. Then Orton and Batista start fighting on the floor. Batista tries to Batista bomb Orton onto the steel steps. Orton counter with a back body drop. He tells the crowd, move! He back body drops Batista on the barricade. And Bryan comes in with a double drop kick, does a double yes kick to both Orton and Batista. Batista gets kicked in the head. Orton catches Bryan and hits a T-bone suplex. Bryan gets Orton and Batista in the corner, starts doing the corner drop kicks. He hits Orton with a Frankensteiner off the top rope. Orton hits a superplex on Batista. Bryan comes out of nowhere with a diving headbutt to Orton. Bryan gets Orton into the label lock. It looks like Orton's about to tap. Triple H and Stephanie come out from the crowd. And Triple H pulls the ref out of the ring just before Orton can tap. And Batista hits Bryan with a spine buster and a Batista bomb. Triple H brings out his own referee because the original ref is concussed from simply being drug out of the ring. And Bryan kicks out of the Batista bomb, and here we go. Because Super Bryan wins this match. Triple H tells his crooker referee to get Bryan, and Bryan just kicks him in the head, taking him out, probably killing him, judging from how the first ref took being drug out of the ring. And Triple H and Stephanie help the second ref to his feet, so he's dazed and fine overall. But that makes the first ref a gigantic pussy, because, again, he was just drug out of the ring, and he's completely out. I don't know why that bugs me so much, but it does. So Bryan ends up hitting all 3 of the ref, Stephanie, and Triple H with a suicide dive. Triple H gets up all pissed, grabs a sledgehammer. Bryan ends up getting it from him and nailing him in the face with it. Orton and Batista start double teaming Bryan. Orton nails Bryan's shoulders with the steel steps. Then Batista and Orton get into each other's face. Then they nod slowly to each other. Batista and Orton clear off an announce table. Orton sets up the stairs. Batista cracks Bryan in the head with a monitor. Then they do a Batista bomb into an RKO through the announce desk on Bryan. And it actually looked like Orton landed on a monitor.
He sure did.
So officials come out to take Bryan out on a stretcher. Batista starts beating the hell out of Orton. Orton gets Batista off his feet, hits a draping DDT on the floor. Daniel Bryan gets off the stretcher, of course, starts crawling to the ring. Orton snatches him up, starts beating the shit out of him. Goes for an RKO. Bryan blocks it, gets the label lock in. Batista saves Orton, but he gets the label lock when he goes to snatch Bryan. Orton just tosses Bryan to the other side of the ring. He starts fighting with Batista. Orton goes for an RKO to Batista, but it's blocked. Batista goes for a spear on Orton. Orton sidesteps and nails Bryan. It looks like he got him right in the face. Then Orton hits Batista with an RKO. Batista kicks out. He goes to punt Batista, and Bryan comes out of nowhere with a flying knee to Orton. And Batista tried to steal the pin. Orton kicked out. Batista hits a Batista bomb on Orton. Bryan comes out of nowhere again with the flying knee. Gets Batista with the label lock. Batista taps like a bitch. And Bryan celebrates with his titles. Crowd goes wild. Does the yeses on the announce desk with the belts. There's a shit ton of confetti. And Bryan celebrates with a small child and a blonde lady that's not Brie Bella. So I wonder what the story is there.
I think that maybe his mom.
What was his mom, 16 when he had her? Pretty young looking.
I don't know. Maybe it's the babysitter, because I believe Brie she definitely was also on the card in that battle royal that you skipped. So someone had to be with the kid.
All right. Well, Brian's whole title win reminded me of when Ray was handed the title after Eddie died.
What? This is a lot different.
Yeah.
Actually, I drew parallels from like the Cody finish the story thing.
Yeah, there's some of that.
There's a lot of parallels because this was the year that Batista he wins the Royal Rumble, and then they pretty much had to put Bryan in the main event because the Yes Movement thing. The fans were rejecting the main event, just like they did with The Rock versus Roman. They rejected it, and
I don't know the circumstances with Batista and Orton, but if Batista just came out after the Royal Rumble and Daniel Bryan won the Royal Rumble and was expected to hand his main event spot to Batista just for shits and giggles, then yeah, I could see why the fans would be upset.
no, it wasn't that. It was just he straight up won. Batista did, and they weren't having that Batista win thing. I guess as a inline, they didn't want the main event to just get booed out of the building. I mean, they were already ending the streak this WrestleMania. What more can you do to the fans? Yeah, give them something to go home happy with.
I guess. I don't mind the unhappy ending as long as it makes sense. What doesn't make sense to me is Daniel Bryan, again, going toe to toe with Randy Orton and Batista. He wasn't the babyface coming from behind. It was like he was an equal. And I don't know if that works for him.
He had heart. But I think it was one of the better stories for a WrestleMania, just in totality. But yeah, I remember the whole Yes Movement story, so I think it was a pretty good story overall.
The story was good. I just didn't like the execution.
That's fair. But overall, this WrestleMania, there were definitely highs and lows.
I hated this WrestleMania. It took me 3 days to finish this WrestleMania. The only match I was looking forward to, I say that very, very loosely, was the Bray Wyatt John Cena match. That's only because I wanted to see Bray Wyatt when he was good.
Yeah, definitely the one I wasn't looking forward to was the streak.
Of course. It makes no sense with how over Bray Wyatt was. If you're going to end the streak, end it to somebody that could use it for their career instead of a fucking UFC heavyweight champion.
Yeah, the person that did not need it at all.
And I get the reasoning, well, who else on the roster could have done it? Okay, great, but this is wrestling.
Yeah, don't. That's the point. Just let that be Taker's thing. I did have a question, though. More impressive, his streak or Goldberg's streak?
I would say the WrestleMania streak. Goldberg was basically a golden goose, and they also lied about his streak.
So yeah, Undertaker had his streak, but really, and especially now, it's like a one match per year. To where Goldberg, he had to do it night after night, or week after week. He was going out and adding to his streak.
Yeah, but that's 21 years of Vince saying, "Oh no, we're either going to build around this match or we're just going to have Taker win." It's always been like some sort of story.
Yeah, especially I think they finally acknowledged it around like the 10th win or 9 or 10, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I think Goldberg was maybe a year.
Wasn't it like 2 years? I don't know.
Or maybe 2 years. Okay, fine, 2 years. So you got 21 years of consideration versus 2 years of consideration.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only reason I made the thing was because
it's not
one did it. One did.
Yeah, it's not a bad comparison. I just think the streak's more impressive and legit. Well, as legit as can be.
Yeah. You just have to be around for that long,
Well, during the post-WrestleMania Raw the next night, Triple H immediately used his authority as the WWE COO to grant himself a title match against Daniel Bryan later that night. And as Stephanie McMahon tried to persuade Randy Orton, Batista, Kane, and The Shield to help Triple H for fucking Daniel Bryan to help Triple H in his title match, Kane inadvertently revealed Triple H was the mastermind behind the attack on The Shield the previous month's SmackDown. As a result, Bryan was attacked by Orton, Batista, and Kane just before his title match, which began anyway at the order of Triple H. However, the title match ended in a no contest, with Bryan retaining the title when the Shield interfered, attacked, and chased away Triple H, Orton, Batista, and Kane. Following week, Triple H, Orton, and Batista reformed Evolution to take on the Shield. Meanwhile, Stephanie McMahon enticed Kane to return to his masked self. Kane complied and was granted a future title match against Bryan. Then Kane proceeded to carry out attacks against Bryan and his wife, Brie Bella. So at Extreme Rules, the Shield defeated Evolution, while Bryan defeated Kane to retain the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then Daniel Bryan announced that due to injuries, he would have to require neck surgery. Therefore, he was stripped of the WWE World Heavyweight title by the Authority as he was not healthy enough to defend his championship. And then, due to his injury, Bryan was largely removed from WWE television.
Yeah, he had the backstage role or kind of GM type deal. Well, he was GM, but.
And at Payback, the Shield ended their feud with Evolution by defeating them in a 6-man no-holds-barred elimination match. And on the next Raw, Batista quit WWE, and the storyline as Triple H, in wanting to continue the feud with the Shield, refused to grant Batista a one-on-one match for the WWE World Heavyweight title. And later that night, Seth Rollins turned on his Shield teammates and aligned himself with Triple H's Authority, eventually winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. And the remaining members of the Shield, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, went their separate ways. The rivalry between Cena and Wyatt continued at Extreme Rules. Wyatt defeated Cena in a steel cage match after interference from the rest of the Wyatt family and a demonic child. So that's when it started. Cena's feud with Bray Wyatt culminated in a last man standing match at Payback, where Cena buried Wyatt under multiple equipment cases to win the match and end the feud. So he literally and figuratively buried Wyatt. So Cena won Bryan's vacated WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank. Lesnar returned on July 21st and proceeded to decisively beat John Cena at SummerSlam, thus making him the World Heavyweight Champion. And he carries that into WrestleMania 31, which is our next WWE pay-per-view. We're in San Francisco, California. Brock Lesnar will be defending his title against Roman Reigns. But before that, we have the Great American Bash, 1998, Baltimore, Maryland. And for several weeks leading up to the event, Booker T and Chris Benoit have been battling each other to determine the number one contender for the WCW TV title, which Booker lost to Fit Finlay after Benoit distracted him. Shortly after, the two began a best-of-7 series of matches, 6 of which have already taken place. With the series even at 3 wins apiece, the 7th and decisive match would take place at the Bash. The winner of the match, and thus the series, would advance to face Finlay for the title later in the event. So we got another double header or whatever with the TV title.
Just like they did with the Cruiserweight.
Yes. Another feud leading into the event involved Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho over the WCW Cruiserweight title. Malenko and Jericho have been feuding since shortly after Jericho won the championship, with Jericho constantly mocking his opponent's ability and family. Jericho defeated Malenko several times in the early part of 98, but Malenko got his revenge at Slamboree in May, when he won a battle royal dressed as Mexican wrestler Ciclope. And then he unmasked and defeated Jericho immediately afterward. WCW, however, disallowed the title change due to Malenko's deception, held the championship up with a rematch between the two to determine new champion signed for the Bash. And the main event of the program was to settle a dispute over the WCW World Tag Team titles, which had become interlaced with the rivalry between the now divided New World Order. Entering Slamboree, the reigning tag team champions were the Outsiders. They had signed to defend their championships against the team of Sting and the Giant, who at the time of the signing were both Team WCW. Well, after Spring Stampede, NWO split into separate factions. One faction led by Nash, known as the Wolfpack, and the other faction led by Hollywood Hogan, who was renamed the NWO Hollywood, which is very original. And shortly before Slamboree, Hogan convinced Giant, a former member of the NWO, to rejoin the group. Then, during the match, Hall turned on Nash and gave the titles to the challengers, who are now on opposite sides, as Sting was still a WCW loyalist. He would later join Nash to become part of the Wolfpack, though. So despite being champions, Sting and Giant did not wrestle together after winning the titles and chose to instead make defenses with their own stablemates. So that's weird. How do they agree to...
They split the championship?
I guess. So did, Sting give Giant the belt to give to his stablemate and vice versa? Or do they just have their belt and their partner not have a belt? Kind of want to go back and watch that. So eventually a match was agreed to where the winner would receive both belts and would be able to select a replacement partner to continue the reign. The other matches to look forward to are Kenny Canyon versus Perry Saturn, which is weird since it sounded like Saturn left the flock, so I don't know why Canyon's immediately wrestling him. We have Chavo Guerrero Jr. versus Eddie Guerrero, and Conan versus Goldberg for the U.S. title, and finally Piper versus Savage.
I wonder what they're going to do with that one.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be shenanigans aplenty.
Yeah.
that was WrestleMania 30.
All right, all right, all right. If you agree with anything, let us know in the comments below. If you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And on that note, survey says, one more for the good guys.